So today I'm going to talk about directing your screenplay. A lot of you who are starting out, you're probably trying to figure out like how do you get going besides just writing a screenplay? How do you get noticed? How to network? Do all of that stuff. And some of you are probably in the realm of wanting to direct your own stuff. And even if you're not looking to direct your own things in the long term, I do believe a good way to really get yourself going and getting some real traction with moving your career and your writing forward is to direct your own stuff. And so what I'm going to do is really break down kind of like from A to Z what you're going to do, what you're going to expect, how to approach it in the best way possible, the way that I think is going to be the most applicable and attainable, so to speak. Now, the first thing I'm going to say is with your first, we're not doing like a feature, okay? We're focusing strictly on short film. And you have to understand the whole point of this is to, one, just really dive in to the film industry and get an idea of what it's like to make a movie. This will help with your writing. The other thing, too, is to understand the difference between a screenplay, a script, and then how it actually like pertains on screen. Because it's one thing to read something and say like, oh, this is really good, but then sometimes it actually doesn't translate on screen, even though it reads really, really well on the script. So that's the thing that you have to understand is that sort of like the change in editing process as you shoot and go into production is pretty much inevitable because some things just aren't going to work regardless of how well they're written. Or maybe you may think it's well written and realize it's not well written. The other thing too, I believe, is that this is a good way to really network and to understand how, the film, not business, but just sort of film production works, but with the ability, sort of more responsibility. Because it's one thing to be on set as like a PA and watch everything without that responsibility. But it's another to be like, you're directing your own thing. So you are responsible for making sure everybody has a really good like experience. And on top of that, that you follow through with everything you're doing because people are going to be relying on you to have a finished product to send to festivals or to show people. And I think it's also the other way to learn the hard way. You're going to probably make mistakes. Very few people knock it out the park in their first short film thing, but not saying you can't, but most likely you're going to make some mistakes that pretty much everybody makes, but it's going to give you a little bit more appreciation, or it should really a lot more appreciation for filmmaking in general and also writing for the screen. So the first thing I'm going to say is obviously we're focusing on a short film, but you have to understand before we get anything started, you probably are going to have to spend money on this. You won't have to spend a lot if you're smart and you can figure out and you kind of like follow the things that I'm gonna kind of guide you through. But for the most part, a lot of people spend about $250 to $1,000 on their short film, their first short film. That usually goes to like crafty, like getting food for people, paying people. If you're not able to get like favors or friends to help you out. Sometimes it's paying a little bit for a location, renting equipment, all of that. But there are ways to alleviate this. But essentially, you want to be prepared to spend some money, and the smarter and more humble you are about your approach, meaning like you're not going to try to do this big production that's multiple days with like tons of cast, the more money you're going to be able to save. But ultimately, it's going to cost money. On top of that, if you're going to send it to film festivals, that's going to cost money as well. So first thing is you want to look and strategize how you're going to save money. I would recommend trying to save at least $500. That'll give you a good cushion, okay? So as you're kind of saving money and putting money away for this, and you can ask for money. You can ask a friend to be like, hey, man, can you just give me some money to shoot this short film? But you need I would say $500 at least. Okay. So Now, on top of that, when you're writing your script, this is what I advise you: keep it 5 to 10 pages long, preferably under 10, as close as you can to 5. Okay. I mean, you say, I can't write a story in 5 minutes. Yes, you can. There's a couple short films that I've written that were less than 10 minutes, or a couple that were 5 minutes. And those did really well at festivals. A couple of them got some awards. So you can tell a story in 5 minutes. So you want to look at writing a script that's about 5 to 10 pages long, closer to 5 minutes. The reason why is because this is going to help you be able to shoot all in one day. If you have close to 10 or over 10, you're probably going to have to take another day to shoot. You want to be able to knock this out in really a few hours. Remember, you're not trying to like win an Oscar with this. You're really just trying to learn and absorb the process of writing a script, how it gets translated onto a screen, get that hands-on experience, but also be more intuitive and more insightful in terms of your writing and how your writing goes from the page to the screen. So keep it as close to 5 minutes as possible. Now, to help you with that, you want to make your script ideally one location, and a location you have easy access to. A lot of people, if they have a really good situation at their workplace, they'll shoot at their job, obviously with permission, sometimes not permission, from their boss or manager. I knew somebody that worked at some offices that on the weekends they had access to the offices because they could go and work on the weekends, but nobody was there. They asked their manager, "Hey, can I spend a day shooting this thing with like 4 or 5 people?" And they said, "Yeah, sure, go ahead. As long as you don't mess up anything." So one location that you can get access to, okay? And that is easily accessible to other people. Because if you try to get a location where people are going to have to drive very far, that's going to make it difficult. I would suggest shooting at your residency. So if you have an apartment, a house, or if you have a really good friend, that will let you use like their place where they live to shoot there. But figure out a location and stick to one location. You can leave it blank and figure it out later, but when you're writing the script, just keep that in mind, one location. The second thing is when you're writing the script, 1 to 2 characters. You can write a very effective 5-minute, 10-minute script with one character. You can get inventive with it, with how you want to do it, creative, all of that, okay? And what you're going to discover is as you're writing the script, how you're going to have to, now because you know it's going to be made into something, it's going to change your writing. Because before, when you write, you just write however you feel like, and you're going to try to sell it or get people to put money into it, to buy it, finance it, whatever, right? But now because you're directing, that this is going to go on screen. So it's going to change how you approach and write things. It can make you more creative, or it can be more difficult. But this is a good challenge for you to figure out where you stand on that. So, just to kind of recap, start save about $500. Keep the script close to 5 pages, no more than 10. I mean, 10 is kind of pushing it, in my opinion, especially for your first one. One location and 1 to 2 characters. Now, this is the part that can kind of go in any direction. Like, what's your story about? What do you want to do about it? So with one particular short film that I wrote, it was one of the earliest short films that I wrote. And I've mentioned it here before. It took place in a motel, and it was a guy with a prostitute who was confiding in her about his guilt because he was cheating on his wife. And ultimately, at the end, regardless of how guilty he felt, he still ended up continuing to see that prostitute. So that was the story, and it was like a moral dilemma story, right? So you're going to have to figure out like what's sort of not the message, but what's the angle that you want to go. You can do an action story of sorts. You don't have to be super explanatory or very clear, so to speak, in what you're trying to accomplish, but there needs to be a feeling of a beginning, middle, and end. And it needs to just be straight to the point and get it done. Like one example, I saw a short film where it was somebody trapped in like a hole, like in the ground, and they were like stuck and trying to climb out. And then at the end, they ended up falling into like the abyss. So that was the whole short film. It was like 5 minutes. No dialogue, no nothing. Another one that I saw was one person trying to unlock something, and they were getting really frustrated. They couldn't find the key. The key broke when they did find it, and it just kind of escalated. And then finally, when they opened it, it was like old pictures of them and their mom. I think it was their mom, and baby pictures and stuff like that. And then I think at the end, it shows them. They have like a second location, which the main character goes and drops the pictures off on their mom's grave. And that was like a 6-7 minute short. So no dialogue again. So you can figure out, and you have to kind of really think like, oh, what can I have somebody do or two people do in the span of about 5 minutes? And in primarily like 90% one location. If you use a second location, it has to be something very, very easy that you can do really quickly that doesn't take up a lot of time. So really, really just take some time to think about that. Now, once you have that script, okay, and you have the money, you're going to have to figure out how to find at least a camera person, the actor or actors, and a sound person. Okay, so you're going to have essentially 4 people. A lot of people say, oh, you need a PA, you need a script. Yes, you do need all that, but this is your first short film. You're just getting your feet wet. You're just figuring yourself out. So you're not trying to win an Oscar. I can't emphasize that more than enough. You are just trying to grow and to evolve as a writer. And by learning so, by directing your stuff and seeing the difference between page to screen. So, you can go to Craigslist. You can go to Mandy. You can go to Upwork. You can go to Fiverr. These are all websites where you can hire people. You can go on Reddit. Reddit has a lot of work for hire, or like, I think it's called like Hungry Artists, the subreddit, or Hire the Artist. But you can find people, okay? This is for somebody that has zero connections, zero anybody that they know in the film. But you can go to the internet and you can look for people that, you can hire for one day and explain to them, this is your first thing, you're getting started, blah, 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 this and that. Like, really be honest and open and transparent. And you'd be surprised that a lot of people are willing to do it for very, like, affordable, like, be like, oh, I'll do it for $100 a day if we're just going to be shooting for, a few hours, But that's a start to where you go. Again, you can also ask people. If you have friends that are in the film, like, ask around. Even to this day, people who have been in it for 15, 20 years still get favors. They've worked on big projects. They get paid a lot. Those people still ask their friends to work for free. I still have friends of mine that I've known for years that we work on each other's stuff for free. So, just don't be exploitive. Don't be disrespectful. Appreciate their time, and they'll appreciate it for you. And obviously, if you can't afford somebody, just be honest. I can't afford you. That's too expensive. I'm sorry. And then try to find another option. Again, this is just for you to try to get things going. Now, as far as the cost, obviously, actors, if you have 1 or 2 actors, a sound person, and a camera person, that's covering 4 people. If you have to get a location and pay like somebody $150, like a friend, to let them use their apartment or something, pay them some money. They might let you use it for free. I've had friends let me use stuff for free as well. I've let friends use my location for free as well, or my house, I should say. But the other thing is going to be crafty, which is like food. So you want to provide stuff that people can eat while they're there. Bananas, fruits, nuts, and then ideally, especially if the day is long, if you're shooting all day, you want to provide like a meal for the day. But again, it's your first short, very small, tight-knit crew, and you want to keep things quick and short and fun and easy. Okay, you're just trying to learn everything. And also, if you have people that are more experienced, they're gonna enjoy being able to collaborate with you and kind of guide you through different things to help you learn as well. I enjoy getting on sets with kind of new people or people that are just getting started, and I enjoy helping them and giving them advice if they ask for it and if they're receptive towards it. I've done that for free many times. So now, once you do that, you're going to have your money, like $500, maybe $1,000 you decide to save, and you're going to budget. You're going to figure out, that one day of shooting, the cost for the camera person, the actor or actors, if you get more than two actors, the sound person. If you want to bring a friend to help out for free for the day, that's great. If you want to get a PA to help out with just everything in between, that's great. You can hire somebody there. But ideally, a lot of actors, if it's a day thing and they're kind of just like, they have the time for it, and, a lot of actors will do it for $100, $150 for the whole day, or they'll do it for free if you're really honest. Again, I can't emphasize this. There's productions that go on all the time by people who are seasoned, by people who are doing it for years, that still are able to get people to do stuff for free. So don't be too ashamed about it. Just don't be exploitive. Don't be unappreciative. Again, I mean, there's some people that get really upset about that, but that's the reality. You talk to anybody in the industry, people are getting stuff for free, getting people to help out for a day for free all the time. It's just a matter of respect and appreciation. So it's going to be harder to do that if it's somebody that's a complete stranger. I think that's the main thing that I want to get here. If it's a complete stranger, most likely they would rather get a payment than to work for free. But do your best. This is all part of you figuring it out. Now, once you have all of that, get your budget together, figure out how much you're spending, how much you need to spend, and then also take whatever you're spending and add about 10 to 20% of that. So if you're spending $500, bump your budget up to about $550 to $600, because you want a little bit of extra money just in case of emergencies. Okay. Now, also, because you're making this such like an intimate, like guerrilla style type shooting, you're saving a lot of money on other stuff. Like, you're not going to go and expend a bunch of money on all this equipment, on a location, on insurance. That's the other thing too with your short film. You want to do something that's simple and easy, that doesn't require any stunts, doesn't require any visual effects, or very, very minimal, easy to do visual effects, or anything that would be considered like dangerous. Okay. You want to keep it very, very simple and grounded. Now, after you have your budget and you go over the script, you want to sit with your actors, your camera person, your sound person, and really break down the script. It may be only 5 pages, but you still want to break it down. And you're going to really listen to their feedback and their advice and their input about just general everything about the script, whether it's creative, whether it's production notes. A camera and a sound person is going to really be able to tell you, like, hey, I know you have this, but it's going to actually really be hard to execute that. You might want to rewrite this part a little bit to do this, so that the camera work can be executed the way you want, or as closest to you want. So you want to take that script and take all of those notes and feedback and that discussion with them and make the necessary adjustments to your script to do that. After you do that, you want to really plan the actual shoot. You want to plan a date, obviously a time you want to take into consideration. If you're going to shoot at night, you're going to need lights. Those are going to take extra time to set up. Better to shoot during the day. And, if you're going to shoot during the day, be aware of what the sun is going to be doing. If you're going to be out for 6 hours, the sunlight's going to be different depending when you start and when you finish, which is going to play into how the picture is going to look on the raw footage. So on the dailies. So you want to kind of take that into consideration as well. And, again, the more concise, short, and straightforward the shoot, the better. If you're shooting indoors, if you're shooting outdoors, your location, how that plays on the camera, your camera person should be knowledgeable enough to know that when they look at the location, they could be like, okay, we just need to open some windows here or there, and I can get the picture that you want. Same with the sound person. They're going to want to know, like, the sound environment there. If you're near a highway, I'm near a highway here. That's a lot of sound that is just going to be penetrating in the scene, regardless of whatever you do to set up. So that's another thing too. As you kind of get all these logistics down, you have your script, you've made your adjustments to your script, you have your budget, everything that needs to be paid for is accounted for. You have your personnel, your main personnel ready, cameraman, sound person, sound guy, sound girl, camera woman, whatever, and your actors. And then you also have your location, you have the script ready, you have a little bit of extra money just in case. You've made arrangements for food and all of that. You've made arrangements for yourself to pick all that stuff up, because chances are you're going to have to be in charge of picking up crafty, picking up any props, dealing with wardrobe. You're going to be wearing multiple hats. Okay. If you do want to hire a PA person, remember, or get a PA person, they can help you with that. But again, they're also human. They can't do everything for you. And again, you don't want to fall into that trap of just taking advantage of people, ideally. Okay. Once you do that, you're going to have the day of the shoot. You probably won't get sleep the night before, because you're going to be thinking about a lot of stuff, about whether you forgot things, you're nervous, you hope everything goes prepared. And once you get to the shoot, the only thing that I can really give you advice on is don't force anything, adapt, and move quickly and effectively. So things aren't going to go exactly as you plan. A lot of the shots aren't going to look exactly as you planned it, or at least in your head. Just adapt. Everything you do is an adaptation. You're adapting every decision to make sure that you reach your overall end goal, which is to get all of your footage. And of course, when you speak with your sound person, your camera person, you're going to come with a shot list and a sort of like what would be like an AD job, which is like your timeline of the day of like when you're taking this shot, what time you're taking this shot, when you're moving to this particular scene setup or whatever. So you're going to have all that ready too. And when you shoot, it's just about keeping an upbeat, positive environment. Do serious work, but don't take it serious. We're grown adults pretending and doing make believe in front of a camera. It is not that serious. It really is not. Be respectful, be appreciative, don't waste anybody's time. Get all the footage you need, get all the sound you need, and then when everything's wrapped up, you'll basically almost have your short film. And at that point, you want to make arrangements with your camera person, your sound person, to organize and get all that footage. And then from that part, you want to figure out how to get it transferred either to you, if you feel like you're up to snuff to edit, which editing, if you kept it something simple, the editing process is doable by yourself, and that's something to learn as well. But you can also hire an editor. So if you're going to hire an editor, obviously you're going to have to save some money at that point. I wouldn't worry about saving money early on for an editor, because you have to get things shot and in the bucket, in the can first. Once you get that, then you can look at hiring an editor. The editor can take care of sound in terms of organizing the sound and all that. But basically, they're going to edit the picture. They're going to put the sound timeline together. If you have a lot of sound design, you're probably going to have to get a sound designer. You can also do that yourself. As you're kind of starting to realize, there's a lot of stuff that you can do by yourself. But I am taking the approach of you're completely new to this and you don't know where to start. So, because obviously there's a lot of guys who do the sound, the camera work by themselves, the editing, everything by themselves. And you can do that too. That is an option. But this is basically for everybody that's doesn't really have that option or time. And it's just I just need to hire or get some people together that know that stuff. So, for the editing process, you need obviously an editor. There are a lot of editors that can put together the sound, and as long as the sound quality is good from the sound person, they can just drop the sound in and edit it with the film and it'll be fine. Okay. The editor can also help with the score. You might have to download, free, royalty-free music to help with the score, or you can hire somebody to make a score. You're going to need a colorist, a color grader. They can work and make the picture look beautiful. They can do all the color grading and everything like that. You can hire somebody for that. You can do it yourself. You can download packs that you drag and drop for color grading that you can do with the editor. But essentially, these are things you will need to consider. for sure, 100%, I highly recommend just getting an editor who can do all of those things to a competent level. Because again, it is your first short film. You're not trying to win an Oscar. I can't emphasize that enough. You just want something that looks presentable and good, because the chances are your first short film's not going to be up to the quality that you want. It's all about just getting the experience. That is the main thing that I cannot emphasize more than I can already. Then once you get an editor, that's going to take a process. For something that's like 5 minutes long, it may take 3 or 4 sessions, especially if you really know what you want, and it's pretty simple and straightforward. And after you get all that done with the editor in terms of just the picture lock, which is like you've edited all the visuals to the point where this is quote unquote perfect, we're not making any more changes, that could take about 3 or 4 sessions. Then you're going to take care of the sound stuff, which could take another 2 or 3 sessions. And then the color grading, depending which approach you take, whether you hire somebody or use packs or the editor has experience in that, that can take anywhere from a day, like 1 session, to 3 or 4 sessions. And all of that timeline can take about 3 to 4 months, depending on people's schedule. So, writing a script can take you a couple weeks, few weeks or so. Pre-production, setting everything up, saving money, hiring people can take 3 to 4 months. Shoot for 1 day and about another 3 or 4 months of post-production. Then after that, you have a short film, and that's it. And you can either put it online, you can send it to film festivals, which will cost money as well. It's really up to you and the individuals, but ultimately, you now have a short film. You have an idea of what it's like to produce, direct, and film something. You have an idea of what it's like to write something that actually gets made into an end product, even if it's only a short film that's like 5 or 10 pages. And you also have a better understanding of your writing and what screenwriting is as from a 360 angle, not just what's on the page, but how it goes onto the screen, and also how that translates to an audience watching it and their reaction and their response to it. So I don't think I really missed anything, but if I did, and definitely in the comments, add to that and say there's also this to consider and that to consider. I know some people are going to probably say don't hire anybody for free, or don't get anybody for free. That's messed up and all that. Again, I can't stress this enough. I'm not saying go and do that, but there are people that are willing to do it. And as long as you're appreciative and you don't exploit them, they'll be fine with it. People to this day who have even worked on big budget films, they've worked for free on people like friends of mine's projects and stuff like that. So it's a give and take type industry. That's just unfortunately how it is. Ideally, everybody can get paid all the time, but hey, I'm just being honest here, okay? And, at the end of the day, nobody's forced to do free work. You make the decision if you want to do it, okay? So hopefully that is helpful. If there are any questions, obviously leave a comment or hit me on Instagram, as some of you do. And I'll do my best to give the best answer I can to any questions that you may have about your first short film that you're going to direct.